All right, so you ready to dive into some pretty interesting material today?
Always.
You've shared two pieces with us.
Right.
One seems to be lyrics or poetry,
Yeah.
titled Eingefickter Text,
Okay.
and the other one is a spoken word recording
Uh-huh.
labeled GDB2.wave.
Okay.
Um, they're both a bit cryptic, but, that just makes it even more intriguing, right?
It does.
What story do these pieces tell, and what can we learn from them about relationships, identity,
Yeah.
and maybe even broader social shifts? Let's find out.
Well, the first thing that jumps out at me is this repeated mention of GDB in both pieces.
Yeah.
And luckily for us, Eingefickter text actually defines it
Does it?
as gay daddy bear.
Okay, so more than just a label then.
Well, yeah,
What
yeah.
makes a relationship a gay daddy bear dynamic?
Well, think of it as a relationship style
Okay.
with its own set of dynamics where one partner embodies this daddy archetype,
Yeah.
often older, more experienced,
Right.
and sometimes with a paternal vibe. The other identifies as the bear, often younger, more playful. And yes, sometimes with that burly physique, but it's really about the energy and connection,
Okay.
a blend of mentorship and care alongside that romantic attraction.
That makes sense, but I imagine there's a lot of variation within that framework, right? It's not just a one-size-fits-all label.
Absolutely.
Right.
Just like any relationship style, GDB relationships exist on a spectrum.
Sure.
Reducing them to simple stereotypes does a real disservice to the complexities and nuances within those communities.
So as we unpack these source materials, it's important to keep that in mind.
For sure.
We're seeing a glimpse into one individual's experience,
Right.
not a definitive representation of all GDB relationships.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But those individual experiences can still reveal a lot about those larger trends and conversations around love, identity, belonging.
For sure. I'm really curious to see where this takes us. Let's start by digging into the lyrics of Eingefügter Text. They have a certain raw honesty to them, and you say?
Yeah, I agree. There's a directness in the language that feels very personal.
Yeah.
Almost like we're reading a diary entry or a stream of consciousness.
And there's definitely a deliberate structure, too.
Yeah.
That chorus repetition, GDB, GDB, GDD, it feels almost like a mantra, a celebration of that identity.
Yeah, it's like the creator is claiming that identity, both for themselves and their partner.
Yeah.
Powerful statement.
And then in the verses, we get a glimpse into the story of their relationship.
Yeah.
It unfolds chronologically, starting with that initial attraction in the first verse.
Yes, the line, hairy with beard and belly, that immediately brings to mind those classic bear characteristics.
Yeah.
It's a visual, it speaks to physical attraction, but also perhaps to deeper comfort and security associated with that archetype.
And then the line, I love him so much, I even write him a letter.
Right.
It suggests that it's not just about physical attraction. There's a strong emotional connection there, too. It is a simple line.
Yeah.
But it hints at a level of intimacy and affection that goes beyond the surface. And then as we move into the second verse, we see their relationship progressing over time.
Yes.
From cuddling daily in the first year to said yes forever in the third year.
Wow.
It's a clear progression towards a deeper commitment.
It is. What's interesting here is how those seemingly mundane details,
Yeah.
cuddling, saying yes forever, become imbued with a deeper meaning within the context of their GDB dynamic.
Yeah.
It speaks to the ways in which specific relationship styles can reshape everyday experiences.
I see what you mean. It's like those everyday moments are transformed into something more significant,
Right.
more symbolic within the framework of their GDB relationship.
Exactly. And the playful wordplay like Dougie Navy, that adds another layer of personality and intimacy to the narrative.
It gives us a sense of their shared humor and their connection to that nautical imagery often associated with the bear archetype.
Right. So we have this progression from initial attraction to deeper commitment,
Yeah.
all woven within the framework of this specific relationship dynamic.
Which leads me to wonder, is this narrative a common trajectory within GDB relationships? Or is this just one individual's unique experience?
That is a great question,
Yeah.
and one we'll need to explore further.
Yeah.
Well, we shouldn't generalize.
Yeah.
I think there are some themes here that might resonate with a lot of GDB couples. The idea of mentorship and support from the daddy figure. The comfort and affection sought by the bear.
Yeah.
These are dynamics that are often woven into the fabric of GDB relationships.
So even though these are very personal lyrics,
Yeah.
they potentially offer a glimpse into something bigger, something shared by a whole community.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
It is.
These seemingly private expressions can illuminate these larger conversations about love identity, social change.
And now I can't wait to see how the spoken word recording GDB2.wave adds to this picture. It seems to echo the themes and the storyline of the lyrics, but with some interesting differences.
Yes, that's where this gets really interesting.
It,
While the core content is similar, the delivery and the subtle variations in wording suggest something more spontaneous, more emotionally charged.
okay,
It's like comparing a private journal entry to a heartfelt speech delivered in the heat of the moment.
I like that. Let's dive into those differences and see what they reveal about the creator's intent and the evolution of their story.
Let's do it. It feels raw, you know? Like we're almost eavesdropping on this private moment of self-expression.
Yeah.
There's vulnerability in the repetitions and the stumbles that wasn't as present in those polished lyrics.
It's like we're getting a glimpse behind the curtain, seeing a
Yeah.
different facet of their relationship and their creative process.
Totally. And those variations in the wording,
Yeah.
they're not just like accidental slips of the tongue.
Right.
They seem deliberate, like a painter choosing specific brushstrokes to evoke a certain emotion.
I like that.
For example, in the audio, we hear, "Love his flat belly so much to cut along,"
Right.
whereas the lyrics said, "Cuddle on." Both convey affection, but cuddle along as this playful, even slightly possessive edge. You know?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a subtle but powerful difference.
Yeah.
It's just a different shade of feeling, a different dynamic between them.
Right. And then there are lines for the lyrics that are completely absent in the audio.
Okay.
It makes me wonder if those omissions were intentional,
Yeah.
perhaps reflecting a deeper level of vulnerability or a desire to protect certain aspects of their story.
So it's like they're shaping the narrative for a different audience,
Possibly.
or maybe even for themselves,
Right.
in this more personal spoken word format.
It's fascinating to see how the creator navigates those boundaries between public and private,
Yeah.
between what they choose to share and what they hold close.
It really highlights the power of artistic expression to explore those complex emotions and experiences.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that we're only privy to this small fragment of their story.
Yeah.
There's this whole world of context, of personal history and lived experience that shapes their words.
So as listeners, we're invited to fill in those gaps,
Yeah.
to connect the dots, using our own understanding of relationships and the world around us.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Because this deep dive isn't just about deciphering cryptic lyrics
Right.
or understanding a specific relationship dynamic.
Right.
It's about using these individual stories as lenses through which to examine larger social trends and conversations.
You're right. This deep dive into GDB has raised some thought-provoking questions about how we define and understand relationships in a constantly evolving social landscape.
These sources, whether intentionally or not, they touch upon some really important themes about the evolving nature of relationships.
Yeah.
We've seen how traditional labels and expectations are being challenged
Right.
and how diverse relationship styles are gaining more visibility and acceptance.
It's like we're witnessing a shift in how we define love and commitment,
Yeah.
moving away from rigid categories towards a more fluid and inclusive understanding of human connection.
And I think this shift is driven by a number of factors. Increased LGBTQ plus visibility and advocacy, the growing influence of online communities, and a broader cultural embrace of individuality and personal expression are all contributing to this changing landscape.
It's exciting to see these conversations happening, to see people pushing boundaries and redefining what it means to be in a loving, committed relationship.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that this evolution isn't just about labels or terminology.
Right.
It's about creating a space where all individuals feel seen, validated, and empowered to build relationships that authentically reflect their needs and desires.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what
Hmm.
key takeaway can we offer our listener? What have we learned from this exploration of GDB and its potential implications?
I think the most powerful takeaway is this. Relationships are complex, multifaceted, and constantly evolving. Whether it's GDB or any other dynamic, the key is to approach each relationship with an open mind, a willingness to listen, and a respect for individual choices.
It's about moving beyond judgment and embracing the diversity of human connection in all its beautiful forms.
Exactly. And here's a final thought to ponder. As you encounter diverse relationship styles in your own life, remember what we've explored today. Ask questions, challenge your assumptions, and be open to learning from those whose experiences might differ from your own.
Because those conversations, those moments of shared understanding, are what ultimately help us build a more inclusive and compassionate world. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep. I think one of the most important takeaways is just the simple reminder that relationships are not one size fits all.
Right.
There's no single template for love or commitment.
The GDB dynamic, just like any other relationship style, it exists on a spectrum.
Yeah.
It's fluid, it's diverse, and it's shaped by the unique individuals involved.
So rather than trying to fit every relationship into a neat little box,
Yeah.
I think we need to embrace the complexity and celebrate the individuality of those connections.
I agree with that. And this deep dive has given us a glimpse into how those individual expressions of love and commitment
Right.
can reflect those broader social shifts.
For sure.
We're seeing a growing recognition that traditional relationship models don't work for everyone.
We're moving away from those rigid definitions of what a normal relationship should look like
Right.
and embracing a more inclusive understanding of human connection.
And that shift is fueled by a number of factors. Increased LGBTQ plus visibility and advocacy has played a crucial role in challenging those traditional norms
Yeah.
and creating space for those diverse voices.
And the rise of online communities, that has also been significant.
Huge.
It's allowed people to connect with others who share similar interests and values, regardless of location.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that broader cultural emphasis on individuality and personal expression. We're encouraged to be ourselves, embrace our unique identities, and seek out relationships that align with our authentic selves.
So it's a combination of social, technological, and cultural forces that are really driving this evolution in how we understand and experience relationships.
It is a fascinating time to be exploring these themes.
It is.
And these source materials, however personal and intimate,
Right.
they offer a valuable window into these evolving dynamics.
As we conclude this deep dive, what final thought would you leave our listener with?
I would encourage them to continue exploring,
Okay.
to stay curious about the diverse ways in which people connect and build relationships.
To challenge assumptions, to ask questions, and to listen with empathy to the stories of others.
Because ultimately, it's through understanding and embracing the diversity of human experience that we can create a world where everyone feels seen, valued, and loved.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey of exploration and discovery.